iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, let's take a look at some news and notes. First of all, David Wright dealing with a shoulder impingement, and he won't throw for a couple of weeks. That's not good. Sandy Alderson is calling him questionable for opening day. Here's what I call him. Done. I mean, really? Between his back and his neck and his shoulder? I mean, look, David Wright was a great player and a great New York Met, and I will never say a bad thing about him. But at this point, I think it may be over. I think it may be over. Seriously. How many at-bats has the guy had in the past few years? Let's take a closer look. In the last 2 years, 152 at-bats and then 137? I mean, the last full season he played was 2008. Since then, it's been off and on. But, I mean, his last good year in baseball was 2014. 2014. And he's still hanging on. Now, look, I respect David Wright. He was a great player for a time. But I think he's done. At this point, do you want to live your life trying to get healthy again to play in the majors? I don't know. You know, we always call him, he's a friend of SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Used to be a friend of the King. Scott Engel used to come on the Roto Experts. You know, great guy. I just don't see it anymore. I don't see how he has any fantasy relevance. I'll tell you this right now. I want Jose Reyes over David Wright. David Wright is wrong. Okay, next. Dusty Baker is my least favorite manager of all time. Here we go. According to the Washington Post, Nationals manager Dusty Baker indicated again that he isn't set on using Trey Turner and Adam Eaton out of the top 2 spots in the order. What are you talking about? Trey Turner is arguably the fastest base runner in the majors outside of Billy Hamilton. Where are you going to bat him? 8th? Dusty Baker, are you out of your mind? You trade Lucas Giolito for Adam Eaton. Where are you going to bat him? 6th? Just bat Eaton lead off. Bat Turner 2. Let's move on. How hard is this? Oh, I think Jason Worth needs to be in the top. Dusty, don't think so hard. Stick the toothpick up your nose. You're an idiot. I cannot get over this. Dr. Roto Jr., my 10-year-old son, who knows nothing about baseball, would know to bat Trey Turner first or second in the lineup. This is not hard. Rocket science is hard. Right? Nuclear physics is hard. Biomedical engineering is hard. Batting Trey Turner in the lineup is not hard. This is an easy thing to do. I mean, how can you screw this up? Seriously. If I'm the owner of this team and I read that report, do you know what I'm doing? I'm calling a shrink to get Dusty in there to say, dude, have you lost your marbles? You've got to be out of your mind. Wonder why Washington's not successful? Dusty Baker, the most overrated manager of all time. Wow, I've never seen somebody do so little with so much. Man. All right, fired up on that one. Next, Byron Buxton. Yes, he's being considered for the Minnesota Twins leadoff spot. No, he's not going to get it. I feel very confident in saying that to you. Here's what I know about the Twins. They are a very, very conservative organization. They are. They don't like rushing anything. They've got to get the most out of their players. They've got to keep them for the longest amount of time because they don't have a lot of money, right? And because they don't have a lot of money, they don't want to rush players, so they always tend to do things at a glacial pace. Do you remember Flash and Zootopia, the sloth? That's the twins. They just don't do anything quickly. And Byron Buxton hitting leadoff is way too quick for this team. I think Buxton bats much lower in the order until he can start the year confidently. Because the last thing you need to do is get Buxton up there in April worrying about getting on base. The second that happens, your team's in big trouble because then he's pressuring himself. And the minute that happens, it's going downhill quickly. So, I think Buxton starts the year actually batting ninth. That's my prediction is ninth. And then by Memorial Day, I think he moves into the leadoff spot. But they can't risk doing that too early in the season. If they do, it's going to be a big problem. All right, let's turn our attention to today's podcast. We will talk to today's preview on the podcast. Come on, Doc, get it right. The Kansas City Royals. Yesterday we talked Houston Astros. Today we talked the Kansas City Royals. First of all, we're talking Sal Perez. Sal Perez is as steady as they come. Okay? You know he's going to get about 57 runs scored. You know he's going to hit about 70 RBIs, hit about 20 home runs, and hit about 260. Just write it in. Write those numbers in. It's the beauty of Sal Perez. He's exactly who you think he is. Exactly. Okay? So, do I like Sal Perez? Yeah. Is he ever on my team? Usually not, because somebody takes him a couple rounds before I do, and somebody pays a couple of dollars more than I want to. So, I know right now he'll never be on my team. Doesn't mean I don't like him, just means I know he won't be on my team. At first base, they have Eric Hosmer, and here's the problem with Eric Hosmer. How many years were we waiting for 100 RBIs? We finally saw them last year, and we finally saw the power, 25 home runs, 104 RBIs, but the average dipped down to 266. So, is the trade-off power for average? Because I'd rather him go back to 2015 when he had 297 with 18 home runs and 93 RBIs. I would take that any day over last year. I don't need the extra 7 home runs and 10 RBIs. I want the 30 points of batting average. Eric Hosmer, once again, is a guy who's never on my team. Ever. I don't like first baseman who can't hit 30 home runs. Eric Hosmer's 20. I don't like first baseman who can't get me 100 RBIs. Eric Hosmer to me is 80. I just don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. Is he a bad player? No, not at all. I don't trust him. Big difference. And I don't trust him because I don't know where he's going to be power-wise. I need power at first base. Put it in, get it done, move on. Okay, at second base, I don't even know what's going on here. You've got Raul Mondesi Jr., who has some speed, but can you steal first base? You've got Whit Merrifield, who played all right in spots last year. You've got Cheslor Cuthbert, and you've got Christian Colon. Here's what you got. You've got a dumpster fire at second base. None of these guys am I really interested in. Maybe Mondesi just a whiff. Maybe just a whiff there, because I think if he could play, he could steal some bases. But, I mean, really, if you're only hitting 260, what is that doing? No power? Am I going to play you? I'm never going to play you. Ever. Okay? Done. At shortstop, here's another guy who's uber consistent. Alcides Escobar. Always in that 260, 270 range batting average. 3 to 5 home runs, about 50 RBIs, about 70 runs scored. He had a few runs scored last year, but always in that 70. So let's give him about 265, 5, 6 home runs. Just like I said, that's okay in an American League only league. You can win with that in an AL only league. I don't think you can in a mixed league, except for maybe the 20 stolen bases. If you get those, that's a plus. But can I count on that from him? I don't know. I didn't wake up this morning feeling great about Alcides Escobar getting me 20 stolen bases. I think he will, but I don't feel great about it. So in this whole team right here, Perez and Hosmer and Escobar give me exactly the numbers I expect. So I look at them and the arrow, it's not pointing down, but it's not pointing up. It's just pointing, horizontally, which usually guys I don't end up drafting. Mike Moustakas, on the other hand, has the arrow pointing up. Now, Moose is 28 years old. It seems like he's been around forever. But he does have big power. And before he tore his ACL in 2015, it seemed like he was just figuring it out. Just figuring it out. And last year, 7 home runs and 100 at-bats. Now, I'm just going to say this. Usually guys get 600 at-bats. Could I project that out at 40 home runs? Maybe. Maybe not. But I think 35 is fair. So I think Mike Moustakas is somebody you can get in drafts rather cheaply right now because people are just looking at last year and they're not trusting him. But you know what? If Moustakas is healthy, he hits 30 home runs for sure, 30, 90. He's their best power source. Right? So I like Moustakas. So Alex Gordon is interesting. And here's why. Because he's not very good. But people haven't gotten the memo. So I'm going to give you the numbers from 2011. In 2011, he hit 303, 23 home runs, 87 RBIs, 17 runs scored. Good player, right? Then 2012, 294, 14, 72, 10. Not bad. 2013, 265, 20 home runs, 81 RBIs, 11 stolen bases. 2014, 266, 19, 74, and 12. So far, so good. But let's look at the last 2 years. At the age of 31, 271, 13 home runs, 2 stolen bases. At the age of 32 in 2016, hit 220, 17 home runs, 8 stolen bases. The decline is coming. The decline is here. So don't be paying for Alex Gordon circa 2014. I'm looking at Alex Gordon 2015, 2016 saying, not interested. Not interested at all. So football, guys fall off the cliff pretty quickly. Sean Alexander, great 1 year, crappy the next. In baseball, it's usually like a 3 to 5 year decline. And I think Alex Gordon's decline he's in the midst of that decline. He will not be on any of my teams. Lorenzo Cain may be perhaps the most frustrating player in fantasy baseball. When Lorenzo Cain is healthy, which is once in his career, he had 16 home runs and 28 stolen bases, and he hit 280, and he hit 300, 307. But I don't know whether we'll ever see that from him again. I think we're looking at a guy who should get us somewhere between 375 and 475 at-bats. That's a good player, but it's not a player who's a 5th-round pick, which is where he's going. I don't know if he hits 15 home runs. I don't know if he steals 20 bases. I know he's going to be on the DL. See, that's what I know. I woke up this morning, I know Lorenzo Cain is not going to steal 25 bases, but he's going to be on the DL and he's going to miss time. So I'm going to let somebody else have Lorenzo Cain. But I will tell you a guy I'm interested in, Jorge Soler. I am. I really like this guy. Now, he was one of the Cubs' top 2 or 3 minor leaguers. He's a great player. But I think when he got up there in Chicago, there was a lot of pressure to succeed. You're the next great player. Be awesome, Jorge. Let's get some home runs. Where's the power? Come on. And I think he crumbled. I think he crumbled. He really wasn't great. Last year, 12 home runs and 227 at-bats, hit 238. No stolen bases, nothing. Not great. But now he goes to Kansas City. Nothing's in Kansas City. There's no pressure in Kansas City. There's nothing. If he hits 25 home runs and 85 RBIs, nobody will even know about it. But I think it's a place for him to fix his problems, to get confident again. Because the Royals don't have anything better. Paulo Orlando, Billy Burns, Bubba Starling, Peter O'Brien, please. Jorge Soler should be able to hit all year long without any worry about him getting sent down. There's no pressure. No pressure may allow Jorge Soler to take the next step up, and that's why I like him. Brandon Moss is a guy that I would never draft. I mean, this guy hits 228 if it's anything. I mean, 230 in a good season. Sure, he has power. Somebody offered me Brandon Moss last year. I think it was for Nomar Mazara. And I said, are you out of your mind? And the guy's like, well, he's having a really good first half. I go, yeah, and I'm Dr. Roto. I don't make dumb deals. I mean, Brandon Moss could hit 30 home runs in the first half. I wouldn't believe he'd finish the year with 40. That's just the kind of guy he is. Maybe he's a first half player. I never want to see it. I don't want to experience the Brandon Moss ride. That's a ride I don't want to take. So in an American League only league, as a DH and a guy who might get some first base and might play a little outfield, fine. In a mixed league, no thanks. You can keep his 230 batting average. I'll take a pass. But I will say this. I would like to welcome the newest member of the Roto family, Kelvin Herrera Roto. Mrs. Roto and I are very excited about him. This guy's got really good stuff. Really good stuff. And I think you're going to see him take a leap into the top 10 closers. Love what he can do. They didn't need, Holland was done, Davis was done, no problem. You got Herrera, you've got Joaquin Soria, you got Matthew Strahm. I like him a whole lot too. So I think that the bullpen is okay. Not great, but okay. Starting pitching, though, I'm a little worried about. I'll give you 4 guys. 1, Nathan Karns. Nathan Karns has potential. Very good against lefties, not as good against righties. Had some back issues last year. They had to shut him down. He only had 94 innings. But look, the Royals traded Jared Dyson to get Nate Karns. So they think he's obviously a decent pitcher. I'm okay with Nathan Karns as a reserve round guy. Maybe he figures it out, maybe he doesn't, but I don't want to invest much in him. I'll invest the minimum in him, right? Not the maximum. Jason Hamill's another guy I want no part of. $16 million? The Royals got to be crazy. Now here's why. Guys who pitch in the NL, who come to the AL, watch their ERAs go up, usually about a point. So if you thought Jason Hamill was going to be a 3.47, I'm thinking more like 4.27. It's just what happens. The DH is a lot better than the pitcher. So I think that Jason Hamill can hurt you, and I will have no shares of him. Absolutely no shares of him. No, I'd rather take Matthew Strahm as a lefty in the bullpen than Jason Hamill. I'm also not a fan of Ian Kennedy. I know a lot of people are, but I'm personally not. 33 home runs is a boatload of home runs. I mean, he had a 3-1 strikeout to walk ratio, but 33 home runs and 31 the year before, that's too many for my liking. No thank you. Now, I know he only lit up 173 hits in 195 innings. That is a stat I love. That's a stat I love. But he's just not a pitcher that I tend to roster. I don't tend to roster mediocre pitchers on bad teams who let up home runs. This is not what I look for. But I do look for Danny Duffy. If there's one guy outside of Kelvin Herrera Roto that I will get, it's Danny Duffy. 188 strikeouts to 42 walks, that's impressive. 163 hits to 179 innings, that's impressive. So, and he just signed a big contract this year. He's confident. He's 28. He's going in his prime. That's what I'm looking for. That's my kind of guy. Danny Duffy, to me, is a top 25 pitcher, and I'm more than happy. Look, if he's my number 3 starter, I'm psyched. If he's number 2, I'm okay with it. Prefer him at number 3, okay with it at number 2. But I want you to go to scoutfantasy.com. My rankings are up right now. The Roto Visionary rankings are there for you. We're rolling them out. Mine are up today. Ronus's will be up on Wednesday. Sean Childs will be up on Friday. That's exciting. Our draft kit is second to none. Our information is second to none. We want you to be part of what we're doing at Scout Fantasy. So I want you to go to scoutfantasy.com. I want you to enter the promo code ROTO. That's ROTO. You pay for 1 month. You get 2 more for free. Okay? So right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Hope I helped you out. And I hope I gave you a couple of Kansas City Royals to look at. Loving Danny Duffy, loving Kelvin Herrera-Roto, loving Mike Moustakas. I think he surprises this year. All right, guys. Back soon to talk more fantasy baseball. Hope you're having a great day. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!